I'm going to solve each of these by completing the square. So completing the square is just another technique to solve a quadratic. So what I want to do when I complete the square is I want to have x or a and b on the same side and c on the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 12 to the other side. So I get a and b in terms on one side, c on the other. So now I have x squared plus 8x equals 12. So when completing the square, we talk about physically, if you had a square that had side length x right here, in order to get x squared, in order for these two right here to be 8x, they each have to be 4x, because if it's a square, this side is equal to this side. So this would be 4, and this would be 4. Oops, so this would be 4x, this would be 4x. So 4 times 4 is 16. This would have to be 16. So in order to complete the square, technically what you're doing is you're taking half of 8, which is 4, and you're squaring it to get 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 16 to each side. So over on the left-hand side, I have x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 28. So what I did is I created a perfect square trinomial. This right here can be factored into x plus 4 squared. If you FOIL out x plus 4 squared, you're going to get x squared plus 8x plus 16. And another shortcut is take half of your b term, or take half of the coefficient of the b term right here. It's going to work every time. So then this is equal to 28, and I've created a square root problem. So I'm going to take the square root of each side. So I'll get x plus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 28, because that number can be positive or negative to get 28. So 28 breaks down into 2 root 7. So x plus 4 equals plus or minus 2 root 7, and then I'm going to subtract 4 at the end. So your solution is a negative 4 plus or minus 2 root 7. These are not like terms, so I'm not going to add them together. Now sometimes you can have a coefficient out front of the x squared that's not 1, so no big deal. I'm just going to divide everything through by 3. So now I'm going to get x squared minus 4/3 x equals 2. So I can complete the square right now because my coefficient of x squared is 1. So I'm going to take half of negative 4/3. So remember, to take half of a number, you just double the denominator. So it's going to be negative 4/6, and then square it. Well, actually, that's negative 2/3 squared. So that's going to be 4/9. So I'm going to add 4/9 to each side. And then make sure to add it to the right-hand side as well to keep your equation balanced. So what I did is I just created a perfect square trinomial right here. So I can factor this into x minus, take half of your b term coefficient. So take half of a number, you double the denominator. So it's going to be negative 4/6, which reduces to negative 2/3 squared. If I did the distributive property and FOILed this out, I would get this expression right here, equals 2 plus 4/9. So 2 plus 4/9 over here, 2 plus 4/9. I need to get a common denominator. So my common denominator is 9. So this is going to be 2 times 9 is 18/9 plus 4/9 is, over here on the right-hand side, 22/9. So I've created a square root problem. Now I can take the square root of each side, and I get x minus 2/3 equals plus or minus the square root of 22 over 3 because I took the square root of the numerator and the denominator. So now I'm going to add these two together, and I'm going to add 2/3 to each side right here. So x equals plus or minus. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to write the 2/3 first, not plus or minus. So I'm going to write 2/3 plus or minus the square root of 22 over 3. That's my solution. So I have two solutions for this quadratic.